Hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome to our weekly effects of coronavirus impact series. Today we have an amazing panel. Thank you so much everyone for being here with today. Before starting to dig deeper into our topic for today, we are going to tell a little detail about what WHTT means for us. So, Women in Hospitality, Travel, and Tech, it's a nonprofit that aims to support female leaders by inspiring, retaining, and promoting women through education, mentorship, and career development. And we firmly believe in transparency, respect, inclusion, and adding real value, thinking global and acting local. So, with that in mind, I think we can start talking about our topic for today. I would love our amazing speakers introduce themselves to tell us a bit who they are, the company you work in, and what to do. I would love to start with Brenda. Hi, Brendan. Can you hear us?
Yeah, sure. So I missed a couple of seconds there, but I think I'm being introduced. So stop me if I'm not. I'll introduce myself briefly. I'm Brendan, originally
I
from
think
Canada,
Brendan is frozen.
and I have been in Germany now for over 20 years, or nearly 20 years, actually. I work for a company called Hotel Resbot. There I am the managing director and one of the founders. And we basically, as a company, we focus on helping hotels to automate difficult reservation tasks, in particular those that are connected to text-based languages like emails or other text-based messages, and helping hotels go through that automation process and applying artificial intelligence and machine learning actually to facilitate that.
Crystal, I'm not sure, I couldn't hear you, but I'll just introduce myself. So my name is Fiona. I head up marketing at the Hotels Network. For those of you who don't know us, we are a hotel tech company. We work with over 5,000 hotels all around the world, and we help them grow their direct booking channel. And it's all about, what we do is all about personalizing the online booking experience on the hotel's website, so that
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you
Improves
so much
the...
for being with us today, Brendan. I would love you to, Fiona, introduce yourself.
Yeah, so as I was saying, so it increases the conversion rate on the hotel's website, and we use artificial intelligence so in order to predict the user behavior, but I'll talk a bit more about that later on. So thank you for inviting me today, and look forward to the debate.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nina Barfod Petersen. I'm based here in Copenhagen, and I'm working for Art Hansen Hotel Group. We are a Danish hotel company with 13 properties, primarily here in Copenhagen. And I'm working as a robotics specialist, but I have 15 years experience in the hospitality industry in operation, and mainly in reservation and revenue management.
Amazing.
About a year and a half ago, I merged into
Thank you.
robotics, and I will tell you much more about that later. So thank you for having me.
Good afternoon, or good morning, or good evening, depending on wherever you are. My name is Luke Okello. I am a software engineer based in Nairobi, Kenya. So greetings from Nairobi, Kenya. And I work with two different organizations. The first is the Technical University of Kenya, where I am a software engineer.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nina. Luke, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, yes. and I also work with the Africa Archives. Africa Archives is a online digital repository for scientists who are based in Africa, or African scientists who are based outside of Africa, to be able to share and communicate their scientific findings, studies, and literature. And it's a free repository. So we encourage that because we believe
Awesome.
in
It's so
open access.
to have a software engineer here.
Yeah.
Crystal, I think we're having some problems with your connection.
Yes, so I'm trying to jump in. Not that I would be dominating the connectivity level here. My name is Rita Varga. I'm one of the founders of Women in Hospitality and Travel Tech. And yeah, Crystal, let's just try to keep fixing your connection, maybe from an iPad. But let's start the conversation because time is precious. And we have got an amazing topics to talk about. The reason why this conversation was sparked, or the topic was sparked, is because we are facing a giant crisis. It's not only for hotels or the travel tech industry or for economy as such. It's the whole ecosystem of tourism is suffering, and one of the most visible effects of it is having to put people on furlough or making their jobs redundant. And on every level of operations, then there is genuine search or interest in what we can digitalize and how we should digitalize. There is a lot of articles and there is a lot of input about that you can or you should digitalize everything because that's the safest way. And this is why we are here to discuss actually what is the right balance to implement technology, what is to which point human element is needed and what you can automate. So I would start with you, maybe Nina, and on your journey on how you find that balance, and through your organization or through your tasks.
Right. Thank you very much, Rita. I would like to explain that I'm from the very operational side, and right now I'm working with robotics and automation. And there are, you can say, two ways of working with automation, even if you come from an IT background or if you come from an operational background. And my background is the operational background, and that's also my approach. And a little short explanation of how I came into it. I was working in reservation and revenue management. And as colleagues who are watching this, who's working in reservation and revenue management, you know there is a lot of guest data to handle. You know there are a lot of systems to work with, and often you're quite pressured for time. And one of the tasks I had, which was daily or several times a week, was a data entry into our PMS system. And it was a task where I would spend about 30 minutes entering this. Then I came about this robotics process automation software, which allowed me to build a process that could read my Excel file and then type into our PMS system in 2.5 minutes. So suddenly I had a process that was cut short from 30 minutes to 2.5 minutes. And this really sparked my interest in how can we use technology in our everyday work here in the hotel property. And fortunately also my management, they caught the eye on this technology. And then I was very fortunate to move into a position where I, across the hotel company, is working with looking to see how we can be smarter with implementing this automation software. And basically the approach I took was a very down-to-earth approach. So when you have several processes, when you use the automation software, if this software doesn't give your colleague a better day at work, meaning that whatever process they have, whether it's data entry or moving data from one place to another, if the technology cannot make them have a better workday, then it's not a success. So I was, of course, very dependent on my colleagues who had the process, because they still owned the process, and I was very dependent on their feedback for making the process easier. And I mean, putting it into a few words, we really wanted to have the people before the robots. And also, I made quite an emphasis on that whichever processes we automated, it was important that the ownership was still with the colleague who initially had this process. And also, it's an important point to make that since I'm not from a tech background, I'm not a IT programmer, but I was still able to learn this software because it's simple to use. And my approach is also, if I can learn it, a lot of other people can learn it. And often I like to compare it with learning to use Excel or other softwares that you are very much using in the hotel industry. So that is my approach, that this only works because the colleagues, they also see that there is a point for them to use it.
Oh, you're on mute.
Brendan and Fiona, you both have experience on the front line of implementing such technologies. Maybe starting you with Brendan. What is the skill set that you think you as a hotelier or a hotelier needs to set up such technologies? Pros and cons, maybe.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think it's really interesting, and it's been fascinating listening to Nina explain how she's sort of gone out and got this product and through that has been able to automate things. We see our role very much as actually helping people like Nina productize this general capability out there. So we kind of see things like there's artificial intelligence in general that has all of these amazing, wonderful things it can do. But again, there's no need for artificial intelligence itself. It's all coming back to, and I loved how you said it's driven by the human, in that it's the process we had, and then we look at how we can fill in some automation to help that process improve and help that person have a better day. And really, it's funny because that's been our journey as well, very much with, first of all, 4 different chains and then expanding that to larger groups, but working exactly in that same way of having some specific people who have all of those details of the tasks, getting all of those things that annoy the heck out of them, and then trying to fix them and trying to automate them. And some of them don't work. Sometimes you still need the human in that process. Sometimes you don't. And I'm always driven by this aspect. If it's got a lot of data and it's got to be done often, then there's a good chance that artificial intelligence or even just simple automation can help. If there's not that much data, then we really need a human in there because a system will not be able to help at all for a one-off or a unique situation. So go ahead, Fiona.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with what you're saying. We, from the hotelier's point of view, because the hotels we work with, they don't need to know anything about artificial intelligence or machine learning. I actually know very little about it. I sit in the office beside our data scientists, who are the ones who know all about it, and they have these huge computers that have fans to keep them from exploding because there's so much data piled in there. And I don't know anything about how they build the algorithms or anything like this, but what I understand is, from a marketing point of view, is how this is useful for the hotel marketers. And so the hotel marketers that use our tools to predict how people are going to behave on the website, and and they don't need to understand the artificial intelligence. They just can see the benefit of how it helps them in their they just get the benefit of it, basically. And it's so how they use it is very simple, and they don't need to be techie at all to benefit from it. And so we build our tools based on speaking with our hotels, understanding what their challenges are, what are they trying to solve, especially in today's situation where suddenly all these new challenges have appeared. And it's how we can then listen to what they're saying, and then see how we can use technology and build algorithms and build products that can help and find a solution for them and make their life easier, exactly as you were saying, Nina, how to make their job easier for them, more efficient.
Yeah. Look, you are not directly from the industry, but you are actually using an AI-based product that is helping or supporting your work that you do. Can you explain how, outside of the industries, technology can be implemented or used at Africa Gym?
Yes, sure. Thank you, Rita. I think it's very interesting to always hear how technology is used outside of the people who develop the technology, because one of the problems, or it could be a good thing, is that we who develop the technology always have a different idea in mind about how it should be used. But hearing the experts talking now, Nina, Brendan, Fiona, then you can see that there's always a gap between the expectation and the reality. So in Africa Archives, we are using multilingual AI chatbot that's actually not built by us, but it was built for us by a German company called Dialogue Shift. And what this chatbot does is basically help us to assist people in this time of the coronavirus, because we have a lot of researchers who are publishing their work, but they don't communicate in English or in French, maybe the two biggest languages around the world. So when they come to our website, then they're able to communicate with us in their language through the chatbot. Very simple interface to use. It's not difficult at all. And that way they're able to upload their research study results around the coronavirus, or very many other different scientific research that they publish. So in that way, we have seen that actually technology can be used for something that is not so scary or intimidating for those, as Nina said, those who are using it for the first time, especially if it's a very friendly human-computer interaction. And I think Brendan raised a good point, that sometimes the technology can be unnecessary. So I think that's also something to take into consideration.
And it's of course, you are using it for a different purpose than hospitality. So I want to anybody, Brendan, Fiona, or Nina, how much is personalization possible when implementing such technologies? How much do you give? Because from the feedback, sometimes it's to understand the capabilities of AI. It's not just something standard.
I'll take that one if you want, because the personalization is really where our focus is. So I think it helps. It enables personalization because otherwise you can do something manually. You can set. You can do segmentation on your website, and you show this to certain groups of users. So people who are looking for last-minute bookings, or you can show these messages to people who are looking for a booking for 2 adults and 2 children. So we want to show messages that are personalized in that they're messages suitable for families. But there's a limit to what a human can do with that and how they can process that information. And so with machine learning, what you can do is the algorithms that do things automatically and automatically show the right message to the right person at the right time. So this is why personalization can get to a much more granular level and really for each individual user rather than groups of users. And that's how the machine learning can help in that area.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Relating to that, sorry, just it's directly related. Guillermo's question: when you talk about AI, you want to relate it to data, or you want it to relate to operational? For example, the revenue manager, or the possibility of customization for rooms to interact in possibility with customer to improve the experience. Any examples of that? So if you could name also examples, Brendan.
Yeah, sure. I mean, this is quite well tied in. I have one sort of simple example within the what we do, and I mean fundamentally what we use AI to solve a couple of problems in the reservations department. So the first thing is an email comes in and it gets read by the AI even before a human reads it, and it extracts already as much of the data possible, arrival date, departure date, and so on, and even checks availability rates and inventory before the agent has gotten there. That's one part of AI. So that's actually one or multiple algorithms that do that. But the one that I wanted to talk about more is actually about matching the offer. So when we first started, we had actually asked our customers to say, okay, define for us the order that you'd like to sell your rooms. In other words, if somebody's just asking for, a normal room and rate, then do you want to sell the advanced purchase first, the bar rate first, or do you want to sell the standard room or the superior room? Which actual product or products do you want to offer? Because one of the main reasons why people send emails is because they're overwhelmed on many booking engines with too many offers. If that sounds weird to you, please Google a book called The Paradox of Choice and open a whole new world. But the short story is, oftentimes the fewer choices you have, the easier it is to make a decision. And so following that logic, we've actually started to track what our human reservation agents select in terms of offers, and we're using machine learning to essentially emulate that and figure out what are the best room and rate type concatenations. So what are the best offers that we should send back? And that's simply, quote unquote, simply a machine learning game or an analysis. And then we look at what did the humans select and what were the ones that converted best. And there you can start to get some indicators of what are the best products to sell. So that's a classic case of something that historically a human has done, which is deciding which room type and rate type should be offered. And now slowly artificial intelligence is able to figure out actually what is the best match, kind of like Netflix is doing or Prime as they're suggesting solutions.
Mm-hmm. Nina, you from a user point of view, how would you think of implementing this in your daily work, and especially you were talking about your team. So
Okay,
how would you?
Sorry. So right now we are working primarily with the automation and not so much the artificial intelligence. So that's where I can speak from. But as I also mentioned before, we've started low level or at the level of the colleagues. So we are looking at the processes, which can be as Brendan also said, a little tedious to handle. And what my emphasis really has been is, let's look at all the tasks that a colleague has during the day. Which task can we select, which would be very optimal for doing an automation on? And then from there, since it's the colleague sitting with it, they're the experts. So I would have them help me map the process, get involved, and also explain what would work and what would not work. So this is still something back office automation, and my focus is in involving the colleagues, and also that the colleagues, they feel an ownership on using the automation software.
Mhm. And you want to relate, this is again Guillermo asking, when you talk, so you want to relate to data, or you want to relate to operational task?
I'm not sure exactly what you mean with this question.
I mean that your point is, we are talking about human interaction, we are talking about different data points.
Right.
So you want to relate it to work processes, or you want to relate it to different data points that you are getting out from your systems?
Right. This is to the processes, definitely the processes. That's where we are right now, finding out which processes are easy to automate.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Luke, you were previously talking about, the technology that you implemented for your own sort of purposes and from Africa Archive. But looking at outside the industry, um, from other industries, for example, financial technology, would you have any examples of how AI can be, or machine learning can be implemented?
Yes, sure. I think it's important to note that, first of all, despite the coronavirus, we are actually headed towards what is known as the fifth industrial revolution, and that is going to be highly focused on key areas such as robotics, artificial intelligence, fintech as well, meaning that automation, and by far and large, out of all that automation, artificial intelligence is going to play a key role in converting traditional business models into current mainstream models that are relevant to the 21st century. So I'm looking at an example here in Kenya where we have a fintech that is used by 90% of the population. It's called M-Pesa, or it's mobile money. You can translate it to that. And basically what it does is it allows you to just simply transfer payment from mobile phone to mobile phone. So it's very useful at a time like this, especially when we have banned the use of hard cash in all industries in Kenya right now. So this, I think, is something which, for example, people in the hotel and travel industry here in Kenya are now beginning to have to incorporate more and more. And intelligent systems are required there because we have to vet who are the people that are eligible for this type of financial technology. You might end up blacklisting anybody who was with a poor credit background history, for example. So you would need artificial intelligence to be able to access the data of people who are using the fintech platform and be able then to narrow down who are the people most likely not to defer on payment because of job losses right now, of course, and businesses that are not doing very well. So the fifth industrial revolution and artificial intelligence and fintech is actually going to be one of the key factors, I believe, to pull us as Africa, as Kenya, out of the coronavirus pandemic.
Mhm. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes. Oh gosh, there are questions relating back to hospitality. I just wanted to relate to the future of technologies. Fiona, the Hotels Network has just raised $10 million to be able to
Euros.
euros. Oh gosh, congratulations! And I believe I'm not alone if the reflection is made, there is hope that technology actually is really considered as the healing solution of the future. So can you elaborate what are your plans for the future, how to use, elaborate the hotels network's power
Yeah,
to
so
help it recovery?
we've always been a very product focused company since the way the company was founded, and so the funds are really for us to be able in these difficult times to support the industry and to support our existing customers, because there's a lot of them, so we need to be able to support them and understand their needs, and then create new products that is going to help them survive and be more efficient and be, optimize what they're doing and save money in their marketing campaigns, and help them grow their direct bookings, because we know this is the most profitable channel for them. So this funding is going to be able to help us dedicate much more time and develop new products. And the direction we're going with our products is machine learning. So all that money is going to be invested in coming up with. So it's not like creating a better version of something that already exists. That the idea is to come up with new products that don't exist that will help solve solutions for the hotels. So it's really, I think it's really positive for the industry as a whole. There's been so much, I think, negative information recently, and I think it's nice to have something, a positive story, and that to see that people or investors are still willing to invest in our industry, and they believe that we can grow and that our industry can be healed and be as it was before. So it's fantastic.
Yes, thank you, and absolutely can agree. Speaking of wishes to solve other challenges, I wanted to ask you, actually, it would have been great at the beginning, what is the one thing that is for you a challenge on a daily basis, and there you see, oh, I wish there was a technology that I could solve this certain task with. I don't know, Nina, is there anything that you want to crucially solve in your life via machine learning or AI?
Um, well, I still am going to talk from the point of automation because that's the world I'm in right now. And I think for hotel operations specifically, most hotels, they are very classically divided into front desk, reservation, accounting. And we have colleagues who are experts in all the areas. But if we could use this technology to make the data flow between these departments even easier, I think that would be a great advantage.
I did a whole startup just to try to solve that problem. So they're still working on it 5 years later. So
Nice. Any task you wish, Brendan? I mean, we do use quite a lot of technology on a daily basis internally, but anything that you wish to solve?
well, I would point out something I solved relatively recently, and it's related to, funny, I try to solve for hotels emails, but I don't solve it for myself. I don't have an AI to answer my emails, but the particular part of emails where I'm using a nice tool, and it's nothing absolutely new, but it's a nice little calendar tool to help people access my calendar. And I find it just removes so much of that annoying process where you're going back and forth. You suggest 3 slots, and then somebody says, "Oh, I'm not available," and then you end up having, like, I don't know, 20 minutes wasted just to find a meeting where it can take 30 seconds. So I'm really happy to have a tool that someone else built for me that solves that little problem or that little challenge. And I think that's a little bit the thing, that we have this feeling that automation and AI together, because they're highly related, can kind of solve everything. But I really love your approach, Nina, because what you're doing is you're looking for specific things to solve. And anyone who tries to boil the ocean and say this will solve everything, it's not going to be the way. You really have to be uncool about it, if that makes sense, and just do these little steps one by one. Then it becomes cool when it all works. But like the starting point is really, I'd say, for a lot of people, very uncool.
Yeah. No, I love just a little bit of advertising. X.ai makes your life easier in terms of appointment making. Can certainly agree with that. Luke, is there anything that you wish that personally you could solve through tech?
Thank you, Nina. I think being in the technology industry, I realized that there's no silver bullets when it comes to technology and solving the problems of humanity. Um, Despite the fact that we in technology will always try to make our customers believe that this will solve all your problems, but I can say that as we head now towards a new normal, certainly for Africa after the coronavirus. I think something that's going to be very much in demand is how we use our systems here, health systems, for example, governance systems, transport systems, and how we're able to incorporate technology in all these systems to forecast or to predict how, if ever we're going to face, let's say, another type of similar pandemic like this, is there a way to give us a warning ahead of time before it comes? Because Africa sometimes is always maybe a little bit lagging behind when something is going on in the other parts of the world. So I know AI and machine learning are very good for predictive analysis. They're very good for trying to guess the inferences of what might be coming in the future, forecasting, as it were. And I think in Africa, we could really do, certainly in Kenya, we could do with some predictive systems. But again, they're not 100% accurate. They use a regression analysis, which means that it's based on prior user data that has been fed into the system in order to make it try and predict an outcome. So, but that would really be nice. Yeah.
Nice. Yes. The usage of AI for studies and medical studies, it's very, very fascinating. So I encourage everybody to read after that. Fiona?
To be totally honest, if I had a solution to solve in my daily life, it would probably be more not in my work life, but how to manage my crazy routine with 3 small children at home and everything, and how to. I totally believe in my most experience with machine learning has been in predictive analytics, and if I could predict how my kids were going to behave and react to things, that would definitely make my life a lot easier. But what I've seen is I have identical twins, so they are genetically identical, etc., and yet you can never predict how one's going to behave compared to the other. They are so different. So what we see is that we use our software to make predictions about based on user behavior and based on behavioral data, but it's never going to predict 100% what somebody's going to do. It's only giving a probability. So we can show the probability that these users, it's a higher probability that they're going to convert to booking, or there's a lower probability they're going to convert on a scale of 1 to 100. But you can't say this person's definitely going to do something. But yeah, something that predictive analytics for me would be amazing. If I could have that in my home life, it would definitely make my life better.
Yeah, that sparks a question. Expectations. How do we expect the machines to perform? Because once we think, okay, you learn the algorithm, we start, and then it's just going to work.
No, you have. It has to work together with the humans. So it provides a tool that they can use, but the algorithm's only ever going to be as good as the data and the rules that are inputted by a human who understands what's going on. So for me, it doesn't replace at all the human's role. It's more 2 things together become more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
But there can't be an expectation you're going to hit a button and it's going to do everything for you. It's not going to work like that. But it can definitely be more efficient and optimize your campaigns and things.
Brendan?
Yeah, I think about it more in like augmentation, kind of like I use my mobile phone to augment and do a lot of things that that I don't have to worry about anymore, like memorizing telephone numbers. I haven't done that since I'm a kid. That takes care of it, but it's still kind of driven by the human. And even if the human is not required in that exact process, for example, our system is so far that some emails it can actually 100% without the human answer, but it can only do that because it's learned from the human, and it definitely needs to know, and it does, where do I not know, and I need to go back to the human. So it's really, really important in all of this stuff, despite the like happiness of what AI and automation can do, you always have to think about what's the fallback when the AI can't handle it, because it's got to go to a human, and that's where the human has the chance to shine, because it's now a one-off case where really a moment can be burned into the mind of a guest because something amazing happens. And so the amazing actually happens when you get outside of the standardized process. But you kind of need both. So in our view, you need to automate the boring stuff so that the humans have the time to do the amazing stuff, if that makes sense.
If I can just add something to that, because it made me think of our example. So if the algorithm can predict the behavior, but where it become the results and where the hotels are seeing results in their conversion of their websites are the marketing campaigns that are put in place by the brain of and the creative power of the marketing director. So we can let them identify this is a low intent user. They're not going to convert. So you have to give them some sort of incentive and some sort of nudge to make a booking. Whereas these are high intent users, so the last thing you want to do is show them a discount. You'd be better to try and upsell a higher category of room category, or get them to stay extra nights. But it's only going to be powerful and help the conversion rate if the marketer comes up with an attractive, eye-catching campaign, with a promotion, or with something that's going to help them convert. So the technology side can take care of identifying the different user intent, but it's the marketer that has to be creative in then how they apply and what personalized message they show to the different types of user intent.
And
Nina?
if I can add on to that, I very much agree with what you are saying. And our approach has really been that the quality control of the process, which is automated, still belongs to the process owner. And the process owner all the time have to be the fallback if somehow the technology is not acting as intended. And I think it's also an important point to make that this is also the opportunity for colleagues around in operation to upgrade their skills, to start learning a new tool, an automation tool, and also start to think more broad about which processes we automate. So it's not just a little bit of it, but we can extend the bits and also extend how the flow of data is in the company. So as Brandon said, it's a small tedious task that we automate, and then we keep the human in control and quality as well. They check it.
Yeah, that's the typical saying of changes that happened because we wanted to innovate or optimize, and then zero, and then changes that happened when Corona kicked in. So let's hope that the changes keep on happening. Yeah, any predictions in terms of recovery for the next couple of months? We started to open up businesses, countries, tourism in general, slowly. How do you see the future laying in? Maybe starting with you, Fiona.
I mean, I think it's. I believe that we're going to recover, so I'm very positive about it, and I think we have seen the green shoots of recovery in different markets, and this is why it's almost advantage of that the crisis hit at different moments around the planet, and so we can sort of learn from experience in other markets. You're ahead of what the situation is in your own market, so there's already been very positive signs. So I do believe that we're going to recover. I think it's going to change a lot of things. I think we're going to rely more on technology than in the past. I think the business travel is going to change totally. I think the whole area of business trips, face-to-face events. You think how many of these online events we've done over the past months. I think that's something that's maybe going to be transformed forever. Whereas I think that the B2B travel, B2C travel, and the tourism is going to come back the way it was, because at the end of the day, people love to experience different cultures, and as soon as they're able to fly to Thailand again, they will do that. So I believe that it's going to come back, but it's going to be with more influence from technology and doing things in a slightly different way, and hopefully a better way and more ecological way as well.
Luke, how do you see, you elaborated a little bit already about, technology supporting you in the future. How do you see it on a long term, sustainable solutions?
Thank you for that question. I think in the long term, I don't see any recovery happening without innovation and technology. Coronavirus has introduced certain new ways of doing things, for example, social distancing, or trying to identify hotspots where there might be a reoccurrence of the virus breaking out again. And all those type of new normals will require that technology is incorporated into our everyday systems. Automation, yes, definitely AI, and other types of technologies, virtual reality, augmented reality, for example. I can envision a situation where, tourists in your industry would want to take a virtual visit of your hotel, since they might not get a chance to actually go there ahead of time physically, maybe unless they have a coronavirus-free certificate or something to that effect. So all those requires, and of course, contact tracing through mobile application systems, because as the hotel industry and the tourism industry, I think you also want to know that your clients and customers are healthy and safe, and wherever they're coming from, they're healthy and safe. And it might force you to step into the arena of big data, where you actually have to identify where exactly is this person coming from, and is there a technology that can verify their movement up to 24 or 48 hours before their arrival into my hotel or into my establishment. So I think there's innovation and emerging technologies have to play a very big role in how we move forward coming out of the coronavirus pandemic globally around the world.
Thank you so much, Luke. We've got a question from Gabi directly to Nina. Can machine learning and revenue management systems be trusted during COVID crisis? This is something that we try to elaborate on every single Wednesday with revenue hacks, and we never got to the same conclusion after a session. So please.
Okay,
help us.
I think maybe I'm not the right person to answer this question, since I moved out of revenue management and into automation. But I think making a point that all of us touched is that the systems are never better than the human who are behind it and validating the data and putting the input into it. I think that's my main point to make here, and that goes for artificial intelligence and automation, in my view.
Garbage in, garbage out, right?
I
mean, I'd love to comment on that as someone who spent a lot of time in revenue management in my life, and I would say it's a bit of a loaded question, and it's not that you have to take your revenue management system and throw it in the garbage right now. But I think it's really important to recognize and understand how your revenue management system is coming up with the answers, because if it's using data sets from periods which are obviously a different world. So if we're looking at 29 and basing a 2020 forecast on 2019, we're going to have a problem. But can a system look at the recent pickup and start to do analysis on that and help you? Definitely. So it is, again, back to the point of a system can only do what a system can do with the data it has. It's the interpretation of the human that's absolutely required, especially when trends have changed, and trends have definitely changed.
But I think there's very valuable information that you can look at of the demand analytics in the past, the past 3 weeks. Because we're seeing that the traffic, we monitor the traffic of direct bookings around the world, and we put that on our website. Anyone can go there and look at that. It's updated daily. But we've seen that the traffic is coming back to the hotel's websites, but the conversion rate is lower than usual. So people are starting to search. They're starting to dream of their next vacation, but they're not quite ready to take the step yet of booking. So some bookings are coming in depending on the market, but it's not that. But if you analyze that data on your website to understand the demand patterns, what dates are they searching for? They're searching for the summer, they're searching for Halloween. And if you look at that by country, so you can see, okay, my hotel's in Spain, or my UK is normally a very big target for me. Are my UK visitors on the website, are they starting to search yet and for which dates? So you can't use data from last year, but the data in the past few weeks can be very helpful to predict the patterns going forward in the next coming weeks.
Yeah, I muted myself. Thank you so much. We are a little bit out of time. So again, this has been just scratching the surface, I think, of a conversation that is, really just starting. I always say to all the panels, let's meet in 1 year and let's see where or how we progressed. Thank you so much for all of you for your help and the support here. There are things that we cannot control and in technology. So thank you very much, Crystal. It's such a shame that you could not be here on the panel with us, but these things happen as we not always control. So tune in next week. We have masterclass, diversity and inclusion for everybody next Tuesday, 12 p.m. Central European time. We have our usual revenue hacks panel every Wednesday, 2 p.m. Central European time. And next week, we are back with the unnamed heroes of the last months in journalism, the journalists of tourism and travel technology. Thank you so much, and yeah, see you soon.
Thank you, Rita.
Thank you very
Bye,
much.
take
Thank
care.
you.
Thank you.
We're holding up a